and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And we are doing our gift series, or our series of gift ideas for you to make for family, friends, or craft fairs and things like that over the Christmas or holiday season. Now, this one is, I've got the lovely Seaside Notions stamp set here because I thought we would do a calendar thing that can go on the fridge for next year. And I always think at the beginning of the year, what do you look forward to is trips to the seaside, sunshine, holidays. January is always cold and horrible if you're you know, in apart from if you're in Australia, and then it's probably absolutely lovely. But in the UK, it's not very nice in January, and they always say the January blues. So I thought that we would do something which would be quite fun and that we could put on the fridge for our calendar for next year. So the things that we need, I have taken a piece of cardstock and cut it in half. So your standard sheet of cardstock, cut it in half. So it doesn't matter whether it's 8 1/4 or 8 1/2, whatever your size is, cut it in half. And I've then used both of those pieces. I've rounded the corners and I've just put them on some hardboard that, or some cardboard that I had that was just the right size and it was thin enough. If you haven't got cardboard, just look at something that's quite thick. A cereal packet, the back of our designer series paper or pattern paper, there's normally some cardboard in there. You want something that gives it a bit of extra stability. So what I've done is I've put the half of the sheet on one side, half of the sheet on the other, and then I've chosen a piece of, this is Pool Party light cardstock, and I've just cut that 1/4 inch smaller. So basically that is the base that we're working on. I'm not giving exact measurements because it will depend what country you're in, whether you have an extra sort of 1/4 inch on the side, but you want basically that size. And then you will need a little calendar. So you can pick up these little calendars absolutely everywhere. And what I've done is I've used smoky slate and I've stamped the piece of coral on the centre, and then I've stamped one of the little shells and just given it a bit of a wash with a bit of Wink of Stella. So that's my calendar, and that is going to go about there. Then I have taken a little notebook. Now, again, it would depend on the size of your notebook, how much, whether it's going to come all the way down or not. Now, these ones are from a local store. If you're in the UK, it's Wilkinson's. They're about 20p each, and they measure 3 and... Hold on, let's put this down on the measuring. They measure 4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. So they're quite small. And what I did with those is there are some awful lot of really nice sort of fancy notebooks and things about where you have this image running through. So what I've done is I have stamped the seahorse in smoky slate on each one of the pages. And that is going to go just about there, because I want just about 1/4 inch border round on there. So we're going to have one piece there and one piece on there. Then I thought, well, I quite often have or need a little pocket that I can put receipts, tickets, all of those sorts of things. I tend to put them on my fridge anyway. So this little box is 5 1/4 inches by 3 inches, and it's scored at every 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So 1/2 inch and 1 inch, 1/2 inch and 1 inch, 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and then I cut it so that it's up and out, so you've got one little tab that'll come through. and then you fold it through. So it's a very simple, straightforward little box, but the measurements are exactly the same as the calendar, with just a half an inch mat on each score on each side, so half an inch and an inch on each, on 3 of the sides. So that forms your very simple little box that'll go on the bottom like that. And I've just put a mat of the cardstock to coordinate on there. I will have all of the measurements and things over on my blog, but because I knew that this was a project that would probably take a little while, I wanted to prepare some of it beforehand. So that's the basic bits that we need on there. And then what I've done is I have taken the seashell images, stamped them out in smoky slate, and then I have just done a variety of them because I don't know how many I'm going to use. I've coloured them just a very simple colour wash in Blushing Bride on this one, in Pool Party on these ones, and in a mixture of, I took a little bit of the Pacific Point and the Pool Party and just sort of mixed it together to get just sort of another tone. I wanted pinks and blues in this because I thought that that would be quite nice. Then I thought, well, okay, so I've got somewhere where it's going to have my dates because I've got my calendar that I can tear off. It's going to have a little pocket where I can put receipts, tickets, things like that that I need to keep hold of. And it's got a notepad that I can write my list and shopping and things on. And I thought, well, I need a space to put a pen. So I've got some of these really rather nice Stampin' Up pens, which as a demonstrator, you can get them with your flex points, which I got a packet of. And because it's white, I thought I would put that in there down on the centre. To hold it on, I've taken a little tiny strip. Now, this strip is really only, what is it? It is a 1/4 of an inch. You can make it bigger if you want, and all I've done is I've just done a score line either side. So what I did was I measured where I want my pen to go, and I'm going to put this down first because then the other pieces will cover it. So I want my pen to be here, so there is enough space in between on each one of these. Like that. So that's absolutely perfect there. So I can take all these other pieces off, and I need to put this across on here like that. So it will hold it down and we'll just have a little piece. Now I want to make sure that my calendar is going to cover that. So I need to probably just ease it up just a little bit on there. So it's going to be about there. And then my calendar is going to come in over the top, and that will cover that. Okay, so that's perfect. So what I need to do is, I've made it long because then it's not going to tear. You can do it wrapped round if you want, however you want to do it. This is just a way that I've found that works for me. So, and you can make it wider. It's just I had a little 1/4 of an inch strip over, and you know my motto, waste not, want not. So I thought I would use this little strip on here, and that will work perfectly for me. So I've glued that up. Now I'm just going to double check it again. I always double check and double check again. Once it's down, and you can't do anything about it. Whereas you see now I need to move that just that way a little bit, don't I? So I want it there. That will be perfect. So take these pieces off again, and we're then going to put this, and we want it fairly far up. So I'm just going to lay that across on the top where I want it, which is about there, and then just fold that in like that, so that these bits tuck in down on the side where I want them. I can then take my pen out because I don't need that bit now, and then I can just line that up so it's straight. So that's going to go there. That's going to slide up a bit so that that bit's straight, and that's going to be over there. And then just hold that in, and that is then my little pen holder to just tuck my pen in when I've finished. And because I've put that on first, it means that everything else is going to be it's going to be hidden. So we want the little calendar at the top there, and we want this in on here, so we can get, and this in on here. Right, so I can have a good 1/4 of an inch in between on here. Okay, so I'm just going to put these down with wet glue. You can do it with double-sided tape. The wet glue is incredibly strong. I use it, as I'm always saying to you, it is my absolute preferred. So I will use this above everything else. But if you want to use double-sided tape, you can do. The wet glue does take a little bit longer to dry, but once you've got it on and you've got it in position, it will dry fairly quickly. I need to make sure I've got it right down my edges. There we go. And then I can put that down with, you might see my head just popping in, but I want it to just have a nice neat border in on there. So that's where that's going to go, and I'm going to press that down. Hope I didn't slide it out as I went. Sticking my head in. I really like the idea of putting stamping on your pages, so you've then got something pretty on there, and this will, as I say, remind me of lovely holidays and things that that I might be doing. Now this has got a little sticky piece on the back, so we should be able to just peel this off with a bit of luck. Let's just try and take this off. Some of these are quite aren't the easiest to pull off. So I've got that, which is a bit of sticky on there, so I might as well use that, but I am going to reinforce it because I want it to be stuck down quite well. So I'm going to put some glue right the way around on the edges here, so I know that it'll stick down well. And obviously you can do whatever design you want. I just thought it would be quite nice to do something a little bit different for the calendar. And I always have my, now I'm going to get my head in again, and you'll have to excuse me, but I want to have this so that it is the same distance on each side, and with my camera, my light, I have to sort of squash down a bit to see, but that's perfect on there. So that's that piece on here, and then our little box is going to go down at the bottom like that, and I'm going to give it a reasonable amount of space because you know, tucking tickets and various things like that in there, or receipts and stuff that I need to keep, you know, sometimes if I've bought something and I need to keep the receipt for sort of 30 days or whatever, just to make sure that everything works properly and I don't need to take it back to the shop. And it's a good place to just sort of tuck a few of those little receipts and things in. Okay, so that is going to go down at the bottom just with a little bit of room on there, and I'm trying to line it up so that it lines up with the line on there, and because it's exactly the same size as the calendar, it looks aesthetically pleasing. So let's just put that in on there. You can see why I prepared some of this beforehand, because it takes a little while to do those things. Okay, so that's now our blank, and we can then, I'm going to tuck the pen in there because then I can see where I'm going to decorate. So I've got these lovely shells and things, and I thought that they would work perfectly down on the side. So I'm just going to sort of lay a few out and see how they go. and I'm going to put them on with dimensionals and things, but I thought, well, let's have a look and see how many I need, where they're going to come, because I quite like these sort of little things poking over the top and hanging out. And I've got some of these little ones as well. Okay, I think I'm going to start like that, and I am going to put them up with dimensionals because I think that will make them, or some of them with dimensionals. I think that will make them a bit, look a bit prettier. So we'll take this one up with a dimensional. Yes, makes me think of seaside holidays already. And sunshine, now that we're really are into the winter now. I don't like the winter, I'm afraid. I'm somebody who is a sunshine person. Now, was I going to have it that way? I wasn't I? So I'm going to put that one down on there. And then some of them I'm going to just keep without dimensionals on. So you have that sort of texture and things going on with different layers. I quite like doing not all of them. So that one can tuck in underneath like that. And then we can have this little one tucked in underneath, and I might take another one. Oh, I've got some of those little tiny shells as well, haven't I? I might just tuck that one in like that as well, although they're both the same colour. No, I'm just going to have one in there like that, because sometimes, as we always turn around and say, less is more. I'm somebody who I tend to build and build and build and build, and then turn around and go, actually, I might have just built that up a bit too much. So we've got that one on like that. Then we've got some of these little tiny shells, and I'm going to put those down with dimensionals. So let me have a look. I've got some nice little pieces here. Scissors. What have I done with my scissors? Here we go. Take my paper snips. I'm using up all my bits around the edges. As I said to you, I don't waste anything, and you can get some nice little pieces just around the edges that work really quite nicely. So we'll have that just in the centre of this one. And then this one can go. Do I want a pink one, or do I want, I think I actually want the, I might have two. Let's have a pink one on like this, like that. Sticking in like that. That's quite pretty, isn't it? Now I'm going to work on these ones and then see what I've got left. So that's going to come up because I want that up with the dimensionals. That one's going to go down again because I want to have different layers and things going on. So just sort of build it up as you go. So that can go in on the corner. Then we want this one to have the dimensionals on. And then that can go over the top, and then the other ones will tuck in underneath, I think, quite nicely. Oh, it's making me feel like going on holiday into the sunshine now. So let's take this one up here. Take that one like that. Then I can have this one just tucked in underneath. Like that, and then I'll have the one in the other colour coming through. just over the top of it. Like that. So those are the shells. I think that looks lovely on there. Now I just want to add another little one in on here, because I quite like those little tiny shells. So let's get a little bit of dimensional in on there. That little piece will do. And then I can put that one up in just underneath like that. I think that works nicely. Do I want another little tiny one in on here maybe? Just tucked in at the bottom? What do we reckon? Yes, that might look quite nice, and I'm going to put that with a dimensional as well. Even though it's tucked in, it is there's a little bit of room on there, and that's why I always cut out a few of different things, because I don't know quite how many I'm going to use. So if I've cut out enough, then I don't have to halfway through go, oh my goodness, I need to go and cut another one out. So we'll tuck him in and just put that one in like that. So we've got the 3 different layers of shells. So I think that that makes a really lovely lovely gift for somebody for Christmas. Somebody who's thinking of their holidays. As I say, calendars can be, you turn them around for all the year, but I always think that, you know, summer holidays are just absolutely lovely at whatever time of year. And as I say, that can go up. What I have done, which I forgot to turn around and say, was on the back, I have just put some magnetic strips, and I've put 3 of them on there. You could use the magnetic sheets, anything you want magnetised. If you didn't want to put it on your fridge, just put a couple of holes in there and have it as a hanging one. But I think it makes a lovely little gift for somebody for Christmas. So I hope you enjoyed that little project, and look forward to seeing you again for the next one in my series of Christmas or gift ideas for the holidays. So thank you so much for watching me. Do look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.